Lights go up, the crowd's in a buzz. Hawk talk, start from mighty thud. Voices sharp like a razor blade. Breaking news like a wild cascade. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. Host on fire, you can't deny. Hot take sharp with no alibi. Game analysis deep as night. Get ready for an epic ride. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. We call the plays before they happen. Feel the rush as the crowd is clapping. Stand tall with your team above. Hawk talk anthem, feel the love. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. We're the free. Set you free. We're the voice that sets you free.
Everybody, how are we doing today? This needs to go up. There we go. It is a gorgeous 60 degrees outside. My wife finally found my ginger beer at the store again. So I'm happy. We're in summer. It's sunny outside. We're doing good. We're doing good. Hopefully, all of you out there are doing good as well. We are at Wednesday. Multiple things have happened since the last time that we talked on Monday. So let's dive into some of it. Number one. I have to send out a huge congratulations to Mr. Big J because he won the NCAA Bracket Challenge this year. Now you may be asking, well, how many were actually involved? I actually had 17. We had 17. But he pulled out the victory. In fact, we had 4 people that had picked Michigan to win it all, and Big J pulled it out with the most correct picks through the tournament, winning by 6 picks actually, and it's impressive. It's very, very impressive. And after the heartbreak, the absolute heartbreak that it was in the fantasy basketball championship game, this is good. This was good for him. It's a little bit of redemption. Just a wee little bit. So, huge congratulations to Big J. Good for you. You are officially a champion of something. And you know what? When you play fantasy the way that we do, and you've got 20 leagues the way that I do, it matters. It does matter to be able to win something. So huge congratulations to Big J in winning the NCAA March Madness bracket. But let's look at it, because it was a very interesting night. The game itself was not bad. Michigan kind of felt like they were in control in the second half. But Connecticut is a official juggernaut in college basketball until Dan Hurley leaves. So until Dan Hurley leaves, they are really, really good. Really good. And I tell you what, the way that Michigan is coached and the way UConn is a juggernaut, I actually said this Monday night when I was talking to Big J after him getting the W, because there was one guy in the group that had picked UConn. And if UConn won, Big J was going to end up being second, and it was going to be heartbreaking. But I did say this. I said, there are two schools that the Big Ten should go after right now. UConn currently is not an affiliate in football. They don't have an affiliate in football. They don't have a huge conference in football. They're in the Big East in basketball. And I said they should go after UConn primarily for basketball. Football, there'd be a rivalry with Maryland already out east. So it would be good for them. But I said they should go get UConn for basketball and Notre Dame for football. And you will then have number one, the basketball side of it, Big Ten would once again dominate. And I did comment on missing the Big East. I did. I missed the Jay Wright Villanova teams. I missed the Jamie Dixon Pittsburgh Panther teams. Jim Calhoun UConn Huskies. The Jim Boeheim Syracuse Orange. It was a really fun conference. And because of how much fun, I grew up watching that. Okay? I did. I grew up watching that. And I miss it. I miss it. it gave so much drama. And there we go. So looking at it, I looked this up, and these were the teams. This was 2002. Okay. You had Connecticut. That was when Miami was still in the conference. Boston College was still there. Villanova, Providence, Virginia Tech, and St. John's. And then you had Pittsburgh, Notre Dame, Georgetown. Remember the Hoyas? They've kind of fallen off, but the Hoyas, Georgetown was good. Really good. Syracuse, Rutgers, Seton Hall, which was one of those teams that would go back and forth. They absolutely could break your heart, or they could just stink it up. And West Virginia. That was a very diversified conference. And it was a lot of fun. It really was. It was a lot of fun. So I do kind of miss it, and I do believe that more conference realignment is going to continue. And I think that we will eventually get to where the realignment is going to settle down. Because you can only do so much. And I think right now it's a little crazy. I do believe that everybody's trying to find the footing that they want. And that's okay. But now that we're done with college, now we got to focus on the NBA. Why? Well, here's why. Because all those kids that we just watched are now going to be getting ready to go into the NBA. And the NBA has a really, really interesting scenario and potential issue. Tanking is an issue in the NBA way worse than what even I thought. But I also believe that there are a lot of teams that they are not nearly as good as what people thought. So right now the big dispute is the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis and the NBA's investigation into everything. This could get really murky, really muddy, really quickly. I do want to point out that when Giannis came back, the Bucks still sucked badly. And we already knew the Bucks were very Giannis reliant, although Kevin Porter Jr. is a very bright spot for that team for the future. Very bright spot. But we all knew in Milwaukee, it was the Giannis show. So why are we surprised that that's the case? And that when Giannis got hurt, they absolutely sucked. We really shouldn't be surprised. The Chicago Bulls have redone their front office. They fired their VP. They fired their general manager. And one of the requirements, Jerry Reinsdorf has already come out, one of the requirements is the next GM has to be sold on Billy Donovan as the coach because the owner sees a lot of potential. A lot of potential and wants Billy Donovan to be the head coach going forward. That's not tanking. Do I believe the GM made trades for the future at the deadline? Yes, I do. Do I believe that they would have been close if they kept trying to fight? You know what? No. No. Because the Bulls are 30-49 now. Okay? They definitely have been struggling, but they are 30-49. The Miami Heat are 41-38. They are 11 games behind the Miami Heat. And the Heat have struggled down the stretch as well. In fact, in the last 10, the Heat are only 3-7. They're below 500. I believe they're going to be the 10th seed in the East. I know they're not going to be happy with it. I believe they want the Philadelphia 76ers to drop to 9 so that they have a shot, just so they have a shot at winning that first game. Just a shot. I don't think it would have mattered. I really don't. I do not think it would have mattered. So I don't really want to get wrapped up in a team that's 19 games below 500. Making moves at the deadline. If you make the moves at the deadline, you're deciding at the deadline which way you think the season is going to go. And that's okay. That's when you're supposed to decide which way you're going to go. And they decided, they got players out, they got contracts out, they got a bunch of expiring contracts. They have the ability to create a brand new slate now. They have the ability to create a brand new slate and reset how everything is. Like, let's just say for example right now. Right now, if the Pacers fall into 5th, okay? If through the lottery they fall into 5th, the Clippers would have their pick. The Chicago Bulls right now have number 9. But as we sit right now, before anything else is figured out, the Oklahoma City Thunder have 2 picks. They own the 76ers pick and the Clippers pick. Now, also, the Charlotte Hornets own 2 picks. They own their own, and they own the Orlando Magic pick. The Atlanta Hawks have 2 picks. They have Cleveland's, and they have the Pelicans pick as well. So, it could make for some very interesting movement. In a offseason where I do believe that more players are going to get moved because of the salary cap thresholds, I potentially like this. Now, the other thing, and I did this the other day on NBA 2K because it's what I do. I added the two teams. I added, as an expansion team, I added Seattle and I added Las Vegas. And as I was doing all that and running through everything, I really do believe, the computer was onto something. So in an expansion draft, you can protect 8 players. And the way it works out, those players that are unprotected, they go into an expansion draft. They go into a pool that they can be drafted out of. And the computer did not protect players that had underperformed their contracts. And I really started thinking about this after I was doing it. I think it may be real. So if this is going to get approved, if they can do all this, because the stadium stuff is not a big deal, okay? The arenas, they've already got, the old Key West Arena up there in Seattle. That's already been redone. They've already got that. They can already use what the Kraken and the Las Vegas Aces use in Las Vegas for the Las Vegas team. If they want to build a bigger arena, they can, but they don't have to wait for it to be built. It's an easy move. Easy transition. All it is more money. And I think some teams are going to be, if it does get passed next month, that you're going to be bringing in these two teams, that will be a use to potentially offload a contract. To potentially get out from underneath a contract they no longer want. Now, what's really great about the expansion draft is it's not a trade. So if you've got players that have a no trade clause and they're just put up in the expansion draft, that is not a trade. It flies under the radar. Now, I will say, watch for these players this year or next year. Watch for them to try to put a clause in where they have to be protected. I can see it happening. I could absolutely see it happening. But when you're the Bulls, you're the Bucks, you're the Nets, the Pacers, the Wizards, the Grizzlies, the Mavericks, the Pelicans, the Jazz, and the Kings. The Kings have had a very interesting year. They shut down people to be able to tank. They shut down Sabonis. They shut down LaVine. The Pelicans, I just don't think their team's really well built. The Jazz, they've shut people down and they've played with their roster the same way the Pacers have to try to attempt to lose games. The Wizards are playing for next year. They've got Trae Young and Anthony Davis, hopefully healthy to start next season, and that team, with another top 5 draft pick, would look pretty gosh darn good in the East. They would. They really would. So I like where the Bulls are going. The tanking issue is huge. But I want to give a lot of credit to the Charlotte Hornets and the Atlanta Hawks, who were 10-9 for a long time in the Eastern Conference. The Hawks are now 5. The Charlotte Hornets are currently 9. But they are only a game and a half out of 6th in this final week of the NBA season. And this NBA season is going to come down to this. And tonight, there are actually some really big games. Atlanta goes to play Cleveland. That's a massive game. Also, Minnesota goes to Orlando. Orlando needs, they've won 3 in a row. Orlando needs the victory tonight over Minnesota. Minnesota is basically locked into the number 6 position in the Western Conference. They're 3 games back of the Rockets. They're not moving. But they also clinched that 6 because the Suns lost, and the Suns are now going to be the 7th seed. Unless something really weird happens. But Minnesota goes to play Orlando. Then the Bucks play the Pistons, and the Grizzlies play the Nuggets, whatever. The Trailblazers play the Spurs, and the Spurs should be without Wembanyama. And the Trailblazers are playing really, really good basketball right now. They lost in overtime to the Nuggets. They are now a game above 500. And the game that's going to be going on 30 minutes later, the Thunder at the Clippers, is a huge game because the Clippers and the Blazers are fighting for who's 8 and who's 9. And I will say, both the Clippers and Blazers have a very good shot of knocking off the Suns if they make the play-in and becoming the 7th seed. Now, that means you got to play the Spurs in the playoffs, so it's not great. The play-in opportunities is either you get to play the Spurs or you get to play the Thunder. Neither one of those options are fantastic. Okay? Neither one of those are great. But that does mean you make the playoffs. And it does mean you get to build and continue growing on top of what you have. And I think it'd be a great success for the Blazers to be able to get the 7th seed. And I think they match up decently against the Spurs. Does anybody match up great against them? Heck no. No. But I do think they match up decently against the Spurs. And I think it could be an interesting 6-game series. I really do. Because Portland is scrappy. And I think it'll be a fun series to watch. I really do. Now, with everything else that's going on, so right now, as everything stands, these would be the matchups. So for the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers would host the Atlanta Hawks. Hey, that's the game we're going to watch tonight. So let's watch and see how tonight goes. The New York Knicks would host the Toronto Raptors. They're currently sitting in the 6th seed. The 76ers would host the Magic in the play-in bracket game 7-8. And the Hornets would host the Heat in the play-in bracket for 9-10. In the Western Conference right now, the Nuggets would host the Timberwolves. And the Lakers, by tiebreaker, would host the Rockets. They're tied in the Western Conference. The Nuggets are a game in front of both those teams. My expectation is for that to flip, and the Rockets will be hosting the Lakers. The Suns would currently host the Clippers in the play-in bracket 7-8, and the Trailblazers would host the Warriors in the play-in bracket 9-10. We have got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. We have got 4 days left of games. Okay? So looking at the upcoming schedule, let's look at tomorrow's games now, because we're not going to be live till Friday. So let's look at tomorrow's games now. Miami at Toronto turns into a really big game for Toronto. Tomorrow also, Boston at New York. Huge game for the Knicks. Huge game for the Knicks. That game could be determining the number 3 seed in the East, because the Cavaliers, if they can beat the Hawks tonight and the Knicks lose tomorrow, would set up a tie. The Knicks and Cavs would be tied heading into Friday and Sunday. And between the two, the Knicks have a harder Friday-Sunday game setup. The Knicks would play Toronto on Friday, and then they would play Charlotte on Sunday. And Charlotte is in the middle of the race. They're going all out. Now, Cleveland plays Atlanta again. They go to Atlanta on Friday, and then they host the Wizards on Sunday. So the Knicks really are hoping the Hawks can beat the Cavs and that they don't fall flat on their face, because they got 3 games left. Thursday, Friday, Sunday. That's what you're looking at right now. The rest of the Thursday games, you have the 76ers at the Rockets. You have the Lakers at the Warriors. Why do those 2 games matter? Simple. The Warriors can't go anywhere, but the Lakers don't have Doncic. They don't have Austin Reeves. And now they're going to Golden State, who got Steph Curry back, who's playing with a little bit of mojo again. And they're fighting for positioning. So it's absolutely huge. Tomorrow night, Miami at Toronto. Toronto can't afford to lose, because they've got games at New York, but then they host Brooklyn. So they have a good Sunday matchup, but they got to get by the Heat and they got to get by the Knicks to be able to stay right in that 6th spot. Super exciting. Now on Friday, when we're live on Friday, we will go over the Friday schedule and the Sunday schedule. We'll go over all the tiebreakers that are there that could be done. I will say the lines for tonight's games are interesting. The Cleveland Cavaliers are only 1.5 favorites over the Hawks. 1.5 favorites over the Hawks. On top of that, the Magic are 9.5 point favorites over the Timberwolves. Julius Randle is out. Anthony Edwards out. Ayo Dosunmu out. Mike Conley out. Rudy Gobert may play, may not. So the Magic are looking to be in good position to potentially get a much-needed win tonight. Much-needed win tonight. And continue trying to get to that number 6 seed and put the Raptors in the play-in. It's gonna be wild. All right. So the NBA landscape looks pretty gosh darn good. We do have some NBA news. Number 1, James Pierce not really sure how this is going to play out. I did say I wasn't going to dive into a ton of it, but James Pierce has 3 felony charges. The outstanding rookie from Tennessee, an absolute difference maker on defense in the Jeff Albrecht defense for the Falcons. He has 3 felonies. He has 3 felony charges. The Falcons also, Kyle Pitts did not play hardball. He signed his franchise tag, and he's at off-season workouts. Good move. Got to be clear about this. People were wondering if Pitts was mature enough. There you go. Signs the tag. They're working on a long-term deal. And he reports to the off-season workouts, which are not mandatory. Keep that in mind. Now, also, the Texans did protect their future. They did protect their future while picking up the fifth-year options of C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. Now, I like this. I do like how they're doing this because Stroud will make $25.9 million and Anderson will make $21.5 million. Remember, options, fifth-year options are fully guaranteed. But it also makes them eligible for the extensions. And I don't believe anybody actually wants C.J. Stroud out in Houston. Anybody with two eyeballs saw the freaking offensive line blow it again, as usual. And it's the way that Stroud's, sometimes you just don't have a great setup. And you just have to do what you're able to do. Stroud won. He beat Pittsburgh. Goes out to New England, and New England, it's just he tried to do too much, and it's because he had to. Like, come on, he had to. There was nothing else he could do. Fix the darn offensive line. You got to get it fixed. You now have David Montgomery as your running back. You got to get the offensive line fixed. Because now you should have a running game to go with a quarterback who does rely on a running game. He is a lot like Jared Goff. A lot like Jared Goff. He is cool under pressure. But when you're getting hit time and time again, for gosh sakes, Aaron Rodgers pulled himself out of the game. Give Stroud a break. He has dealt with a bad offensive line for years now. A lot like what Matthew Stafford dealt with in Detroit. So let's get off Stroud. Stroud will be fine. But Will Anderson is definitely the number one goal to be able to sign is Will Anderson. And then this little tidbit came out yesterday. Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number one pick in the NFL draft, and it will be from home. Now, I'm going to throw this out there. I'm going to throw this out there. I believe this is part of his maturity. I believe this is part of why NFL teams are going to want him on their team. Because the internet is brutal. We all know this. Think about this for just a second. You could be crying at a funeral. The loss of a friend. The loss of a loved one. And the internet will take your grief and your crying and turn it into a meme. Guys, what I'm thinking here is that Mendoza understands where those cameras are going to be. He understands that the entire draft prep, the cameras are going to be all around him and his family. And his mom's going to be on TV a lot. And the internet is brutal and the internet's stupid. He wants to spend this time with family, enjoy it with family. And his mom's going to be comfortable. And I commend Mendoza highly for making this decision to stay at home and to share this experience with everyone he can at home. It makes so much sense. And it's part of why I have no doubt he is the number one pick in the NFL draft. The rest, I have no freaking clue. I don't. I have no freaking clue. I was looking through, I run through a lot of mock drafts. Okay. Something that is interesting to me is that Arvell Reese, so you got all these players. And Arvell Reese is the number one rated player in the draft. Arvell Reese is 6'4", 241 pounds. He is a linebacker. He's a bigger linebacker, but he is a linebacker. He does have, to me, he does have the most options to be drafted of anybody, because I believe he works in a 43, and then I think in a 34, he really works. And I mean, really works. David Bailey, the edge from Texas Tech, 6'4", 251 pounds. He is more your edge rusher, but he is smaller, weight-wise. 6'4" is nothing to scoff at. He's definitely got great height for an edge rusher. Great height. And I like what he can do. But between those two, to me, David Bailey works better in a 34 by himself, and Arvell works better in either or because they can use him differently in different defenses. They won't be able to draft him, but the type of team that I see Arvell Reese being able to go to is a team that has one true pass rusher on the defensive line. And then their other end rusher isn't great. But what you're going to do is you're going to flip them in and out. Your speed package will be a nickel defense set where you're going to have your two linebackers besides Reese be the backers, the extra corner. Arvell Reese will go to the defensive end position across from your superstar on third down and passing situations. That gives you so much flexibility. Because in the 34, Reese moves around all over the place. In the 43, you're using formations and you're using different packages to get what you want in the pass rush. I think both of them work. I really do. I think both of those plans work. I love how those plans would play out. But Bailey I see more as the 34 only. I don't see him as much in a 43. But we'll see. We'll see. The Arvell Reese's teammate, Sonny Styles, 6'5", 244 pounds. He is a middle linebacker. To me, he will be a middle linebacker. Mansour Delane, the corner out of LSU, is really, really running up the draft boards. he has he has definitely raised his draft stock. Absolutely raised his draft stock. And I do think depending on how 7, 8, and 9 go, I do believe Delane could be top 10. I do believe he could be top 10. Now, something I love is this. One of my favorite things about this entire layout as of right now is the fact that Omar Cooper Jr., the wide receiver from Indiana, has shot up the draft board. He's a 6 foot, 200-pound receiver. He has played a lot of slots, a lot of slot position. And there are a lot of teams that would love to have a slot receiver like Omar Cooper. And I'm just proud that 2 Indiana players can potentially go in the first round. To be very clear, that's what I am really happy about. Now, I ran through all this and I was looking and I go, okay, so here's your fantasy info, okay? I was running down through figuring out who you may want to draft, okay? The normal league size is either 10 or 12 teams. I hate 10-team leagues. There's too many players to go around, in my opinion. Injuries don't affect you. It doesn't make you have to manage as much. So I don't like 10-team leagues. I like 12s. I prefer 4 teams. I really love 16. Man, I had fun with the 16-team league. But getting active players matters in a 16-team league. But I started running down and I'm going, okay, so in fantasy, what are you looking at as far as first round picks? And I realized it's actually pretty nice. Because you're going to have potentially 5 receivers, maybe 2 running backs, probably potentially 2 tight ends, 1 for sure, and you're going to have Mendoza. In a 12-team league, I actually think it doesn't really look bad. It really doesn't. And then you start looking at where the rest of these players could go. You've got a lot of receivers that'll be second round. A lot of offensive line and linebackers could be second round as well. But it's going to be the same way. So let's run through. Let's see, where are we at? Next week is going to be all draft. Next week's going to be all draft. So let's just do this for a second. So, looking at everything right now, here are the quarterbacks that are eligible to be drafted as of right now. This is just the list. That's it. You've got Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, Garrett Nussmeier, Taylon Green from Arkansas, Carson Beck, Drew Aller, who got injured this past year for Penn State, Cole Payton, the quarterback from North Dakota State, Luke Altmaier from Illinois, Baron Morton from Texas Tech, Sawyer Robinson from Baylor, Cade Klubnik from Clemson, Joey Aguilar from Tennessee, Haynes King from Georgia Tech, and Joe Fagano from UConn. Those are your available quarterbacks as of right now. Now, as usual, next week I'm going to give you guys the sleepers to watch for later in the draft. I love sleepers. I love guys that come out of nowhere. And I do have a couple. I do have a couple because I think there are some players that got overlooked pretty bad. I really do. And you know what? I'll tell you two of them. I will tell you two of them because I watched games where they played and it was really good. It was really good. So Skylar Bell is a slot receiver. He's 6 foot, 190 pounds. He's from UConn. I watched 2 of UConn's games. Only 2. Remember, I tell you what I actually watched. And then I went back and obviously looked at his, tape, watched some of the highlights. I really believe he's got old head coach hands as a receiver. Andy Reid will love his hands. Sean Payton will love his hands. John Harbaugh. Old coaches are going to love his catching ability. Skylar Bell, to me, is one of the most sure-handed receivers in this draft. He is really, really good at possessing the football. You may not get the run after catch with him, but he is very good at possessing the football. Now, that's a slot guy to watch. I want to look at another guy from a wonderful college called Georgia State. 6'4", 205 pound receiver. He's got some decent runaway speed after the catch. But he's got a very good frame. 6'4". He does have a very long wingspan where he does create separation off the line. And I really did enjoy watching some of his tape. Very clean receiver. Very, very clean receiver with how he plays. But Ted Hurst and Skylar Bell are 2 of the receivers that I'm really going to be watching where they go. I was running through the depth charts. I don't think you guys realize how many receivers are going to be replaced. Think about this. Stephon Diggs, Jawan Jennings, Keenan Allen are all still free agents. Think about that. They are all still free agents. Receiver is a position where teams are willing to continually take a risk. Now, I told Big J, I go, if Omar Cooper makes it to pick 28, I believe the Raiders will jump back into the first round because Omar Cooper fits what Mike Vrabel would do in New England. And I do not believe for a second that Romeo Doubs is the future in New England. There's not a chance. His injury history, I don't see that being the real case. I still think they're going to go draft another receiver that can grow into what they need out of a receiver. Omar Cooper can be Wes Welker and Julian Edelman. He can be that. because he's got the speed, he's got the hands, and he runs crossing routes amazingly well. All right. Fantasy-wise, I love this. I start looking down through a lot of these things. I do love my sleeper tight end picks. I love that one. I absolutely love that one. My sleeper running backs, we'll go over that. That'll be all next week. That will be all next week. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. But hey, this is why I love the draft. And FYI, the WNBA draft is the 13th. Just so you're aware, the WNBA draft is Monday night. The WNBA season, as of right now, will start May 8th. So WNBA is right around the corner if they can get everything else figured out. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Let's close this out and let's give an update on hockey. Okay? Let's close this out. Let's give an update on hockey. Let's see here. Nope, too far. Let's see, 19th. Nope, too far still. 18th. Nope, still too far. All right. So next Thursday is the final regular season day for the National Hockey League. So let's take a look here. Let's go to the playoff watch, and this is how we'll close everything out. All right. So as of right now, the Eastern Conference matchups are as follows. The Tampa Bay Lightning would play the Boston Bruins in the Eastern Conference. The Sabres would play the Montreal Canadiens. The Hurricanes would play the Senators. And the Penguins would play the Flyers. That's the Eastern Conference. In the Western Conference, the Avalanche would play the Predators. Stars would play the Wild. That'd be an interesting series. The Oilers would play the Utah Mammoth. And the Ducks would play the Golden Knights from Vegas. Let's go to the standings here. Wild card. There it is. All right, so the wild card race as of right now. So we have the Lightning are in the playoffs, the Sabres are in the playoffs, the Canadiens are in the playoffs, the Hurricanes are in the playoffs. I'm going to put the Penguins in there too. Based off of their point total, I do believe the Penguins are going to end up being in the playoffs. But the Philadelphia Flyers and the Ottawa Senators, they've got the Columbus Blue Jackets still sitting there eligible to catch them, and technically the New York Islanders or the Red Wings as well. So we got, a week? So there is a little bit of movement that can happen in the Eastern Conference. The positioning up top is actually hilarious. The Lightning, Sabres, and Canadiens are all at 102 points right now. All of them. The Hurricanes are at 106, so they are basically safe. Now you go to the Western Conference. The Avalanche have 112, the Stars have 104, and the Wild have 102. They're basically safe. But the rest of this is a mess. The Oilers and the Knights are both at 88. The Ducks are at 87. The Mammoth are at 88. Predators are at 84. The Kings are at 83. And the Sharks are at 81. Everybody else is basically out. The Panthers did not have a good year. They will not be making anything. That was a bad year. They're currently 37, 37, and 4. 78 points. Not a good year for the Florida Panthers. But nonetheless. So, we do have a little bit to talk about. We'll set that up on Friday a little bit more. As we lean into everything else, we'll set it up and we will see what comes of it. All right, check everything. Make sure there is no new news that's coming out. Nope. Oh, Stephon Castle, the guard for the Spurs, is also out tonight against the Blazers. Big for the Blazers. They can get that W. They can get locked up with the Clippers for that 8th seed sitting there in the Western Conference. All right, guys. That's it for a Wednesday. We'll be back on Friday. It is sunny. It is clear. And it is sunny. And I'm going to go outside and I'm going to enjoy the weather. If it's clear and it's sunny and it's not 20 degrees where you're at and it's 60 degrees, get outside. Get outside. Go have some fun. Go get some fresh air. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the podcast with a friend. I deeply appreciate it. Thank you ever so much. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. Have a fantastic Thursday. Make it the best day that you can. And I will see you guys on Friday. For Sports Talk with Hawk, I am Hawk. And I'm out. See you guys Friday.